Gotham Season 2 finale transference. I think this was a pretty fun season finale. I think, it started off fairly simple. I think a lot of it was kind of simple, and then, just a lot of interesting things happened kind of in between. We got to see Penguin and Butch work together again, which I thought would kind of be done, but they actually kind of stuck together. Barbara helped them out a little bit, which was, fortunate that she needed help. They all kind of needed help from Jim. And it wasn't too hard to figure out that that wasn't Jim once he got to that point, because he's like, oh, forget that hoe, and silly stuff like that. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, he was acting a little weird before, so everybody's like, you're acting weird, but whatever. And so that made it pretty obvious. And then there's nothing to it when you slap somebody and their skin just like morphs and stuff. So, of course, that got everybody back towards, the very end of the episode. But just going through it, when we have everyone kind of going to Arkham Asylum, it's like everybody's still captured. We have Lucius and Bruce trapped with Enigma, and he's like, poison gas, which we find out was actually just knockout gas, because I was really curious how they were going to do that. I'm like, well, if they're caught inside of this, how's this going to play out? Because they both fell down and they'd already passed out, so it wasn't like it'll come back from commercial. And then before they pass out, somebody will get in there. They'd already passed out and everything. But we found out it's just, knockout gas, and basically it was done to figure out what they knew. And Bruce was given, or Jim was given truth serum by Strange to see what he knew. So basically, they find out, like, oh, they don't know anything about, the Court of Owls or anything like that, which of course is going to be a big deal in the next season, because now Bruce knows that there's some secret council and stuff, and he has to figure out, who's on this council and, what's going on, because they don't just run Wayne Enterprises, they run all of Gotham behind the scenes. So that's kind of his big mystery for the next episode, or for the next season, sorry. And by the end, Jim has decided he will finally find, the woman that he wants to be with, because he realizes throughout this episode things kind of suck. He made a promise, and he felt that he was really arrogant to Bruce for making that promise, because it's just a crazy situation, and he made a really serious promise to this young boy. So he's like, I'm sorry I made such a bold statement, and I was super arrogant, and I shouldn't have been, and stuff like that. So by the end, he's decided he's going to take off, he's going to find Lee, and we'll see how that plays out. I would assume, it'll probably last maybe an episode or two, and then of course something's going to draw if not both of them, at least it'll get Jim back, to Gotham. But he'll go to find her. We still don't know if really the child is gone or not, because that was supposed to be the big thing. And I know some people figured that maybe the baby wasn't gone, maybe it really was. And it's hard to tell, because I thought for sure when they did that she would come back into the season at some point, but she like truly was gone like the rest of the season, which really surprised me. So maybe they will kind of play around with that idea, because they left it open this whole season. So we really don't know. Maybe she took off and said that because, I don't know, maybe she was tired of Jim's lies and stuff like that. Maybe she just didn't really know what to believe. In general, it's Gotham, and clearly it's just pure insanity. So maybe she just said that so she wouldn't even be a target, because it's not much of a threat, or she wouldn't even be around to be a threat or anything like that. So they can kind of play around with that whole idea if they want to, or it could just be that she actually did lose the baby. But we'll just have to wait and see in the next season what they really choose to do with her character. If she's is telling the truth, or if she lied to everyone to just say lost the baby and then she took off. So who knows? We'll just really have to wait and see for the next season. But I think it would be cool to see Jim kind of just take off from the city, and then all this other crazy stuff is going on still. And like I said, he'll probably be back in the show, because it kind of starts, as important as everyone else is, including obviously Bruce, who grows up to be Batman. It's really about Jim and the cops and how everything plays out. So he probably won't be outside of Gotham for too much longer, but we'll just have to wait and see for the next season. Hugo Strange somehow gets captured, because I thought for sure when when they have Freeze and Firefly basically create an ice fire tornado around him, I'm like, oh crap, they killed him. I didn't see that coming. I thought he was going to get arrested, and that would lead kind of to the Court of Owls stuff, and somehow that still happened. I'm like, I mean, obviously with everything going on with it even being based on the comic book show. Suspension of, disbelief, but that was a little nuts. I mean, he was like blue and everything. I was like, okay, he's done for, but I guess the way you could look at it is, Freeze figured out how to freeze people and bring them back to life. So maybe that's what it was, and it's like, oh well, it's still, yeah, disbelief, because I mean he was literally on fire and freezing at the same time. He'd be dead no matter. There is no, oh, it canceled out. If it canceled out and made steam, he'd be melted. It doesn't matter. That guy would be dead in real life. But he survives and he ends up being taken, and so I like the way they played with his character though, because he was actually really upset by by this plan, because he wanted all of his experiments and stuff to succeed, and then it's like, okay, well, we're moving them to a new facility upstate. No big deal. Kind of sucks. We have to do all this stuff because we're almost busted, and then it's like, oh, no, we need you to kill all of them. Like, they cannot live. Period. And he was like really disturbed by that, and he was really sad. And like even when he survived, when the bomb's about to go off and everything, he's just there on the table like, everybody's gonna die, and he was just like sad that his experiments were basically just cut off right there, because that is, it's Chico Strange. But I kind of thought that was funny. Is like he was really upset that they wanted him to kill off all his experiments. So I thought that was kind of cool the way they played around with that idea. Fish actually escapes. They have probably, this was definitely the greatest line. She had the greatest line in this whole finale. But when Strange found out that she had the ability to like control people and stuff, it was really good. He was like, he's giving her like the spiel and everything, and it's like, oh, I love you, like no one else has ever loved you. And then he switched and was like, but if you don't stop, then I will be forced to kill you. Please choose life. And her line was the best thing ever. And she was like, you would have made a great pimp. That was the funniest thing in the world to me. I'm like, that was like a really serious pimp thing to do. It's like, nobody will love you like I love you, but I'm going to kill you if you don't stop right now. I was like, huh. I didn't think of that until she said it. I was like, that actually was a pimp thing. So that I thought was hilarious when she said that. And even the scene after was really funny because he was freaked out like, oh crap, she's going to mind control me. And he took off and he's like slipping and sliding and stuff all over the floor trying to run. So it was just really funny. Like, I love seeing that. It was really funny, just him, losing composure, because we didn't, get to see that. So I like that descent just within this episode. Like, that was him freaking out and trying to take off, and he's tripping and slipping. And then him, trying to escape, because it's like, we're about to get the heck out of here. And then Selena kind of throws a wrench in that because she doesn't want, Bruce, Jim, and Lucius to get killed off. So that causes an issue between Firefly and Freeze, which I thought was cool. I kind of wish that lasted a little longer because I just wanted to see how that would play out. But I thought it was cool. They had like, a little scene where it's like they go against each other. And, it seems like Firefly's kind of, a little bit, she was kind of breaking out of the manipulation. Like, it didn't seem like she was really her old self. She did mention that Selena was a friend, and it seemed like it was her old self, but I'm assuming that was still kind of Firefly and not like the actual person herself. And if I remember right, Freeze isn't under any sort of control whatsoever, but I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that they just saved him, and it was basically like, hey, and that might be why. I mean, they kind of saved his life because he would be dead, because now they have him where he can't live outside of sub-zero temperatures. Although they didn't have him in the helmet. He doesn't need the helmet, which they clearly showed in this episode. And, excuse me, they may have done that in the last one, which I can't really remember. I thought he had a helmet on in the last episode, but I guess he didn't in that one either. But they show he can just have the suit and survive, unlike the, cartoon or any other version where it's like, he has to have the helmet and everything. I think the only other one is probably Batman and Robin, which no one really uses as an example, but Arnold Schwarzenegger, I don't believe, needed the helmet. Like, he had it, I'm pretty sure, at certain points, but I guess they're kind of going that route, just not as many puns, I guess. But I like that little scene. They were going up against each other, and who knows what happened to them either, because they have it where Hugo gets knocked out, but, Jim wakes him up and is like, how do we solve this? They find out, Selena's like, basically, hey, Nigma knows how to get down there, so they, use him to get down. And they still took the time. I was very confused by this when I first saw it. But when he was like banging up against the door, I thought he was just locked in the facility because they were still doing the lockdown. And then after everything stopped and he was still banging on the door, I was like, oh, they took him back to the cage just to lock him up, which I guess makes sense because they didn't know exactly how much time they had. But, a whole bomb going off, which could possibly lead to like some, at least a minor, nuclear fallout, probably wouldn't have taken the time. Like, he needs to be in there for sure, but I'd be like, we got a bomb. We really don't know how much time we got. Not gonna take the extra minute or whatever to go put him back in the cage. I was like, that was a little confusing when I first saw it. Like I said, I thought he was just locked up. And I was like, oh, they actually took the time to take him back to the cage and then go to the elevator to go down and stop the crazy bomb that's gonna possibly lead to like a nuclear explosion. And I was like, don't really have time for that, but they did it. And fortunately, very fortunate, and I love this scene how it all played out with Miss Peabody, and she's like, water, and they're like, water, because it was an electronic bomb, and they pour it and destroy it. It's like, whew, thank goodness. And she's like, I need water and stuff. That was really funny because they just look at each other like, we could have died. Like, we almost died for sure because we thought she was giving us the answer. And she just wanted some water because she got knocked out super hard. I mean, apparently Hugo is like made out of concussions because he hit her like with his elbow, and she was knocked out for like basically 30 minutes. I mean, he set the timer technically after he knocked her out, so she was knocked out for like 28 full minutes because he like hit her in the head super freaking hard. And I was like, man, I've never seen anybody get knocked out from an elbow to the face like that. Like, I can understand if he was doing like some Muay Thai stuff and did like he dropped like 2 stories on her head, but he was just like boom and hit her, and she was out for like 30 minutes. And I thought that was so funny that she was just knocked out the whole time. Like, they go down there, she's just still knocked out, and she finally wakes up to, inadvertently kind of give them the solution to the problem. But I thought that was really funny too. So I'm assuming she's going to be arrested as well. They didn't, focus on her, but I'm sure she got arrested. Hugo got arrested, so who knows if he'll really show up. They'll probably try to at least use him a little bit to actually get answers about, the Court of Owls and everything, like who this secret organization is, and he might give them the actual name because they still only have it as the secret organization and stuff like that. But I already mentioned it in my last review. It's the Court of Owls. The name isn't going to really spoil anything. That's who it is. And that might help explain the mask if you guys never knew who they were. That's why they wear those masks. But, I like the way they did it. Him, kind of his descent throughout the episode. And it seemed like he was really crazy because, once again, he was super sad and stuff like, you guys don't understand, my experiments and stuff like that. So I was like, that's actually kind of cool that he's more broken down about the fact that they escaped and they're just, like, out in the wild than he is about, even being arrested. And that's why he was going to, like, blow the whole place up, was because it was just too risky. Like, they basically abandoned the plan of moving them upstate. It was like, no, screw it, just kill him. So he didn't have much of a choice. But, he was really messed up. And I like that. Personally, I thought it was really cool. But, we got that change for him. By the end, they basically say Bullock is going to be, like, the new captain. So I'm kind of excited to see how long that lasts. Because they didn't kill Barnes off. He's still just, like, knocked out. And it's only been, like, 2 or 3 days since that happened. Not even 2 days, really. I think this might be the end of the second day by the end of this episode. So he's only been unconscious for 2 days. That could easily last for quite a while if they wanted to. So, we might get to see Bullock kind of in command for a while. And I'd like to see that. I think he did a good job so far. It's been fairly simple. Just send everybody's pretty much how he had it for this episode. But I'd like to see how that changes his character. And plus, he'd kind of be by himself with Jim taking off, at the end of the season. So I'd like to see how that plays out in the next episode. They already did one big switch when the beginning of the season is like he's supposed to be married and all this other stuff. And then they got rid of that super fast. Like, that was one episode, and I had this whole thing where, like, oh, he's going to be, like, giving, like, the sage advice and stuff at the bar because he doesn't want to be a cop anymore. And that was, like, one episode, and then after that, it was like, yep, she's gone, and I'm a cop again. So I would assume that they're actually going to stick with this change because they completely gave up on that one super, super fast this season. But I'd like to see that. Of course, Fish Mooney surviving, we actually get to see the first reactions of people finding out that she's alive. And we have, basically, it's the same reactions, like, that's impossible. So we have um, Penguin, who actually she basically just knocks him out, which I didn't even consider the fact that she might use the mind control on him, but they still don't have her do that just yet. She knocks him out, but I was like, man, when she touched him, I thought it was gonna the whole next season was gonna be her in control because of the mind control stuff, but she is back. Hopefully, she's gonna be a main character again, and it's not like once every 4 episodes or something she shows up or stuff like that. But if that's how they play it, then we'll just have to wait and see. But she is back. She didn't die because I thought for a split second I was like, are they gonna kill her in this bus crash, which would be the dumbest thing in the universe? But she did not die in that. She escapes, knocks Penguin out. I was curious. I was really curious what was going to happen with Butch, but I guess he's just like, I've had enough of this. I worked for you. I loved you. Stuff like that. Then they got crazy whipped and mind controlled and stuff by Zaz. Penguin had me on like some crazy trigger control type stuff, and I couldn't decide, so I shot you both in the stomach. I got my hand chopped off by Penguin afterwards. So I guess he was just like, you know what? I'm out of here. He had a cool moment again. Once again, they've given Butch like two really cool moments with the bazooka and the Gatling gun in this episode where he just like lights up the bus. I thought that was actually a really awesome scene because, of course, they thought it was Hugo Strange, so they could get their revenge. And it's just like he has a super cool moment, and then it's like, holy crap, no! Like everybody takes off, and he's just like, no, not possible. I'm like basically I'm done with this. So who knows? She might try to explain it to him in the next season, if he's even willing to listen after all the craziness that just happened. Tabitha is also still knocked out, just like Barnes, so she didn't show up in this one. So I'm assuming we'll get her next season, and we'll see how all that stuff plays out. With Fish Mooney being back and what she decides to do. Especially considering the whole Maroni Falcone thing is completely gone. Like there's really, the mob war stuff isn't a big part of the series anymore. So they might kickstart that again with Fish Mooney, especially with her having like mind control powers. It'd be really easy to start that up again. So we'll kind of have to wait and see how all that stuff plays out. But I like the way they ended it. And then of course we still have Penguin at the end who's like completely knocked out, and this woman comes along, and she thinks like these random people are just trapped. And I guess I didn't think of this until just now, to be totally honest. I guess the cop died, but the one who was like driving towards the bus, she was gonna die anyway. I don't know what his plan was. I was like, was he gonna play chicken with a bus? It would crush him. It's a bus. But either way, he died. But they had like noticed, like, hey, I found the bus. I'm at. He said where he was at. He was at the corner of whatever and whatever. And I didn't think of this until just now. Why was nobody there at the end? Like that was clearly quite a bit of time later, and nothing happened. It was like clearly the guy died because he got lit up by a Gatling gun. So there was no report like I stopped it or didn't stop it, and they didn't even bother to like send someone out like, hey, maybe this happened or maybe it didn't happen, because they had the conversation and stuff between. I want to say it was after they did the bus crash scene. They had the stuff where Jim's like, I'm gonna take off. That it was like 5 minutes long, and there was no talk like, man, we should probably check on that one cop who said he found the bus. Nothing happened. It was like they escaped. They might do that because it could have been like minutes later. They had the scene, like I said, it was only like 5 minutes, and everybody kept losing the bus anyway. But there were those other cops that got blocked off by the random car. They could have, just went around and they would have been there in like 3 minutes. I mean, they spent, even after the bus crashed, there was like 4 minutes of people just standing around because, they saw Fish Mooney come back to life. So, a little weird. Once again, disbelief. That's just like a time thing. Like, I felt like it should have worked where the cop should have been there fast enough. At least that one cop car that got shut off, like, it was only like around the corner, like 2 blocks away. They could have easily made it around and be like, alright, we'll help this guy out, under the bridge or wherever they were. But nothing happened, and anyway, this woman shows up. All these monsters get released. They show Killer Croc again. That's kind of the first thing they did. They have, a bunch of other fuzzy images, so we don't know who they're going to utilize or if they're going to make, like, brand new creatures or whatever. And then they have somehow the clone of Bruce Wayne, which I thought was really awesome. And this it could easily tie into a story that's in the comic books, which they recently did in movie form, with like the new 52 Batman and stuff, Batman and his son and everything. But I thought that was really cool. I was very surprised that I was like, they actually cloned Bruce Wayne. You know, they give him long hair. So I could see that causing a bit of an issue in the next season. I'm very excited to see how that stuff plays out and what angle he takes. Like, is it going to be like, oh, we have Bruce Wayne, and then, you know, whenever there's a clone, it's always like the evil villain clone. They might do that. They might not do it. It seems that way because it just seems menacing, and he was just like, thank you for, you know, letting us out. But who knows where that's going to go? What is his brainwashing? Does he believe he's Bruce Wayne? Does he know he's a clone of Bruce Wayne? How did they clone Bruce Wayne? A lot of questions there, but ultimately, I'm very excited for the next season. They did some really cool stuff. Fish Mooney's come back, so maybe they'll, you know, get to really utilize her, especially with the new powers. We'll see, you know, what they decide to do if they bring back kind of the city control type stuff. Jim is left, so like I said, maybe like 2 or 3 episodes, and then, you know, he'll be brought back. Nigma's still in Arkham. Hugo's gone. We have the Court of Owls coming into play. So there's a lot to look forward to in this next season. I'm really excited for it. Like I said, I don't know what happened with Freeze and Firefly. I would assume they got busted as well if they didn't just flat out take off. But there's really no mention either way of it, unless they were in the background somewhere and I didn't see it. But I like this finale. Of course, I definitely want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, I would love to know your expectations based on, you know, the big pivotal moments of this finale. What expectations and predictions do you guys have for season 3? Are you looking forward to season 3? Did this one... Yeah, I feel like this season was way better than the first one. I kind of like the first one, but this one, I like loved this season. I really enjoyed it. Once again, had its super campy stuff, but it was a really great second season. Like, they, like, really kicked it up, so I'm glad they did this. Looking forward to season 3, but like I said, want to know your expectations and predictions in general, just based on the show and based on comics, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.